Hi everyone, it's Heidi Smith here from Flutter by Heidi. I'm Heidi Smith here. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the United Kingdom. And today I'm working with the beautiful Art in Bloom stamp set. And this is one that comes with one of the new hybrid embossing folders. These are absolutely fabulous. You'll have seen the Merriest Moments one, and this one is in the annual catalogue. And it's one where it's a beautiful detailed 3D embossing folder, and what happens is that you can actually put the die inside the embossing folder and then pop it through. She says put it through the right way would help, and you put it through and it will not only cut but it will emboss at the same time. So when I pop this through in a minute, you will see that it cuts the flowers out all in one go and embosses them as well, so you get perfectly lined up cutting and embossing. So a really fabulous idea, great fun to use. And I'll just show you that this card design is one by Kim Fee of Simply Fairies, another Stampin' Up demonstrator that I saw, and this is my version of that. As usual, I shall go through and I've done my sort of template card. I'll make a couple of suggestions on things that I did slightly differently. But yeah, it's a fun fold flat, and it just means that it's just got a slightly different fold at the front. But I just thought it was perfect for this particular stamp and die set. The other things I've used here, I've used the embossing folder, as you can see on the back there. And on the inside, I've used some of this lovely Pattern Play DSP. So this is the free paper that you can get as a host reward. So if you get together with some friends and put an order in, then you can have this as part of your Stampin' Rewards, which means it is for free. You can't buy it, but if you think 3 of you put an order in for £50 each, you could have this for free, and then there's 48 sheets in a pack of the paper, and you could share that out amongst you. And there's lots of different designs, black and white on one side, multiple colours on the other, and I can't find my samples just now, but believe me, they are lovely. And obviously this one matches perfectly with the Art in Bloom stamp set. So again, you could have that just with the paper on if you wanted to, and some more flowers, and then have a panel on the back. Up to you entirely, but that's the one I'm going to make. This one is Polished Pink and Blushing Bride. You're going to need your sponge daubers as well, and you to get the best impression, you're going to want your Stampin' Pierce mat too. So I've popped the big flower image onto one of our blocks, and I'm going to come out. Now this is a large stamp, so I'm going to come ink pad to stamp on this, and rather than tap tap tap, which obviously we can't do, I'm just going over it again, doing a reverse of tap tap tap, and then I'm just going to pop that onto a piece of basic white, and this is about 10.5 by how big was it? About 10.5 by 9 centimeters ish. So yeah, and then you've got 3 infill stamps. I didn't really talk about the stamp set, did I? Okay, stamp set. Here's the stamp set. Flowers. You've 2-step stamping, so you've got the infill stamps, as I call them. You've got leaves as well, the same, so make colouring in really easy. And then you've got, I haven't used these on this, but I might do, perhaps when I decorate the inside. You've got some lovely sort of patterns to go on the side, and then thanks for making me happy, you're a rare find, dear friend, useful extra words. So having done Polished Pink and Blushing Bride, I thought I might go a little bit different with some fresh freesia and then some Highland Heather. So I'm just going to infill these, so you can see, really easy, just stamp on those, and you can see, because they're photopolymer, you can just, and again, they are designed to be kind of like a sketchy kind of image, so they're not supposed to be absolutely perfect. They're supposed to give you just a nice impression, a bit like watercolouring a flower. So those are done. So now this is kind of probably what I would say is the trickiest bit with this one, and it isn't difficult. It just takes a little bit more time. So what you're going to want to do well, the way I do it. Okay, so the way I do it is I like to pop my die. So, how we're doing it. Okay, you will find the die sits in the side that is debossed. So that's where we're going to line up. So what we want to do is pop our flowers over the top there. So what I did to make it easiest, to do it easily, is I kind of lined them up first of all against the embossing folder. See, like so. And I just put a bit of tape on there. She says. So put a bit of tape on just to hold it in place. Lift that up. I then pop my die in there, flip that down, close it up. Just flip it over and make sure it looks reasonably lined up. It's not as well lined up as I might like. You see there, you've got your flowers and they're going to go through. That then needs to go through your die cutting machine, and it will need to go through with a 3D sandwich. So what that means is, for those up here, I've got my old Big Shot to have a bit more space, so I use my blue plate. And then when you open that out, you will see you have 3 flowers which are beautifully 3D embossed and die cut as you go. And that's just used a little bit of tape just to hold that in place, to get that perfect. I can take that die out now, because the next section I want to work on is part of our construction of our card. So those can go to one side. I'll do a bit of stamping while we're here. So I've got a piece of Whisper White, it's even basic white, which is for the inside, and I'm just going to add one of our flower images onto there. In fact, actually, do you know what? Let's go with some dots instead. Right, these dots, useful tip, it's very easy when you're putting something that's quite wobbly to get it so that it's not straight. So the easiest way is to put it face down and then pick it up. I'm going to put a line of those on the bottom, pop a line on the top, and then I still might add on one of my flowers as well. All I need to do is just clean my stamp. So for speed, I'm just going to quickly wipe that on my chamois. That'll just take the memento off that we've just used. And I'm just going to choose a flower like so. Scrap bit of paper on my pierce mat because I'm trying to keep it a little bit cleaner. There we go. I just cleaned it. And there's my layer. Okay. So that's going to be my inside layer. You will want a piece of DSP that is 14 by 10 centimetres. You'll want a piece of your card that is 14.5 by 10.5. A piece for the front that is 7.5 by 14.5, and then a layer that is 7 by 14 centimetres. The last piece you want, I've actually made this slightly wider this time. I've actually made it 3 centimetres wide, as I felt the 2.5 made it a little bit skinny, and that is 3 by 12 centimetres. Okay, So I think that's all the bits and pieces you need. So this second piece I've got here, a fresh freesia, is the one we're going to put through our embossing folder. So again, you can choose whether you want the embossed or debossed side. I would decide I want the embossed side, and this is where my flowers are going to line up. So I'm just going to pop those so you can see where they're going to come either side. So pop that through your sandwich again. And remember, we're always putting the folded side of our embossing folder through first. Okay, so you're going to have a panel, and look at the detail. I mean, that is so pretty, and it's so deep. Now you might find sometimes you get, depending on the card, a little bit of cracking. If you want to stop that, or if you're concerned about that because maybe the pressure on your machine is quite high, then just lightly spray it before you actually pop it through the embossing folder. One more thing I meant to say, this needs scoring at 3 centimetres. Okay. Then the panel you're going to want for the centre, I'm going to use to cut two pieces for side. So on this one I put a complete piece and then kind of covered it up and kind of went, oh, that's a bit daft. So I've cut a bigger piece of basic white, and I'm then going to add a strip of DSP down either side, and that's going to be cut from this one here. So they'll end up slightly narrower. So the piece you want in the middle is going to be 7.5. So this piece is 10. No, tell a lie, it's going to be 7. So you want to cut a piece that is 1.5 off this side and 1.5 off this side, leaving your piece that is 7 centimetres to go in the middle. If that makes sense. So that will then give us our pattern as well. Don't worry, it doesn't have to line up on these at all, so it's just it's up to you entirely. So decide which way around you want that. Okay, and that's where our flowers are going to go on. I'm going to add those on with some dimensionals. I'm all 6s and 7s today. Obviously having a bad day. Oh yes, other thing, yeah, I wanted to add some extra colour to these. So you'll see on my first one we've got the paler blushing bride and some deeper centres. So good old sponge daubers. All I'm going to do is just take my sponge dauber, dip it into the ink, and then just add a bit of depth of colour to the centre of those. So just come in the middle out. It just adds a little bit of interest, and it also ties in the colouring that we've got. You can do the same on your inner flower as well, just to add a little bit of colour too. So this piece is going to go onto our base, but what we want to do is obviously attach our bar first, because we want to conceal that as much as we can. So this piece here you're going to pop into the centre up against the edge of our piece of card. So this is 14.5. So you're going to line this up in the middle, hopefully. Okay. So if you want to be precise, obviously you can measure this. So it's going to be sort of the centre is obviously at 7.25. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that is on the centre line. So all I've done is I've just used my grid paper to line that up. You can use a ruler if you want. Okay, so there's our bar. That, as I said, we can then cover up. Actually, I perhaps could have used Highland Heather for that, looking at it now. Add our layer. while I've got my wet glue out, I tend to use wet glue when I'm attaching an embossed layer, particularly with these 3D ones. I find that gives like an extra bit of kind of cushioning and just helps adhere it better. So I'm putting my front panel on, like so. Let's see, it's got a nice bit of texture in there. And then I'm then adding the glue, not all the way, to the centre of my bar. And then to make sure that's square, we just stand it up. Like so. Open that up and you see I kept the glue away from the edges, so that is nice and free of any extra glue. You could always use your glue eraser if you wanted to as well. So while we're doing this, let's add a little bit of colour, and I'm just going to, with what's left, I'm just going to add just a hint of colour onto those. Okay. Like so. It's just a little bit of interest there. You see these are some of the lovely bright patterns on the reverse of the pattern play was the ones we had before. Then you can pop this layer on here, so that covers up your bar really nicely. And then with a bit of black and white strips, which one was which? And you can just add those to the edge of your card. You can either add them right to the edge, or as I've done here, I'm just popping those in just a touch, like so. All that remains is to pop these onto some dimensionals, and then if you wanted to add a sentiment, it's really easy to, just to pop one on a bar, or leave it. Maybe if you're not sure what occasion you're going to use it for, just leave that off until you're ready to add on. And that's where our many messages comes in really useful, because you can have a stash of lovely sentiments ready, and you can just pop one on at the last minute. There you go. And those just literally overhang very, very slightly. So there we have our two cards. I say slightly wider bar, which I think gives it a little bit more stability. Stands up beautifully with a little bit of added interest. Are you team Blushing Bride? Are you team Fresh Freesia and Highland Heather? Let me know which one you like, and if you liked it, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel as well. I publish videos most weeks, 2 or 3 times a week, so if you want to know when I publish another one, click subscribe. If you'd like to purchase any of the products you've seen, pop along to the description bar below, and you'll find details of all the products and links to my shop, or go along to my blog where you'll find links there as well. Thank you for watching. As always, I do appreciate your support, and bye for now.